Hello, welcome back. My name is Charlie, and I'm a little sick right now, so if I sound a little nasally, that's why, because I'm sick. But we're here anyway. I took a week off from posting videos again, so a lot of life has been happening. It's been busy in life, which is fine. But this channel had to take a back seat for a second, so that's fine. Please forgive me. I also, another sort of partial reason for that is I was working on a video that I was going to post last week for a little while now. I've been working on it. I did a lot of filming for it, and I kind of have to scrap all of it. It's like a new style of video. I guess I should be talking about this at the end of this video, but here we are. I was trying to do like a two camera angle type of video where I talked about a board game and had like a top-down view of the board game as well, so you could see the pieces that I was talking about. But the lighting was so bad in the top-down view that pretty much all of the hours of footage that I had recorded was essentially unusable. So that video will happen at a later date. I just have to reshoot it. I have to figure out my lighting situation over by the board game shelves before I do that. But anyway, what you're here for today is my end of the month, end of April, right? Yes, end of April, wrap up video. So this video I do at the end of every month. I talk about the books that I read in the month of April, and then I'll talk about the books that I'm planning on reading in the month of May. And I will also talk a little bit about the games that I've been playing. I don't have a plan necessarily for games that I'm going to play this month, but I'll talk about the games that I played in April. And then a little bit of channel stats and channel plans. So to get started, we'll start with the books that I read in the month of April. The first section of this is going to be the books that I finished in April, but started before April. The first, for example, is The Harbinger of Justice by Andrew Watson. I've talked about this on the channel several times since I've been reading this for a while now, a few months, and that is nothing to say about the quality of this book. I really liked this book a lot. It's just more has to do with me not having a ton of time to sit down and read physical books in the last couple of months. It's just, I have a toddler and it's just, he's hands-on all the time. And by the time I get to sit down with a book at night, I just pass out. So I haven't had a lot of time to read physically, but I did make it to the end of this book and I really liked it. I was initially thinking that I would do a review of this book here on the channel, and I still might, but by the time I got to the end, it ended in such a way that I was like, I know that I'm going to want to talk about book 2, because the way that book 1 ended was it was nuts. There's like a lot of setup for book 2 and a lot of intrigue. And so I kind of think I've read this book and I've read the prequel novella, and I think that I'd actually prefer to do just kind of a review on Andrew Watson's books as a whole. Like once I finish book 2, which is called The Black Mantle, then maybe I'll do like a, can you trust Andrew Watson kind of video where I talk about all of his released books that, because I think I want to get to The Black Mantle pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. I think I'm going to keep my thoughts essentially for that book until a dedicated review video, either the Harbinger of Justice review or just all of his released books all at once kind of video. Let me know if you have a preference, if you want to hear just about this book or him as an author in one video. So yeah, let me know, but I think that's the plan. Next up, I also finished The Paper Menagerie. This, again, I started in January. I started this one. And this one, The Paper Menagerie and Other Stories, technically. This is a short story collection, which I've also talked about several times on this channel because I ran my first buddy read for this book here on the channel. And that was super fun. I had a really good time with it. Weekly discussions kind of on these short stories. And it was really so... I got a lot more out of this book, I think, because of the buddy read. So I really enjoyed that, and I really want to do another buddy read. I'm not sure when I'll do one, but I will do one. I did fall off at the end of this for the same reasons that I didn't post a video last week. I just, again, been busy. So I didn't actually ever give my thoughts on the last story of this, and I also wanted to kind of post my rankings in like of all the short stories in the Fable that I have that buddy read going on in. And I let you all down. All of the buddy readers, I haven't posted in there in a couple weeks. And I almost did so yesterday, but maybe I should. Maybe I should still post it. I was going to say, but I was planning on making a dedicated video for this. And I am. I think next week's video, I think, will be about the Paper Menagerie as a whole. Just kind of a review / like a should you read the Paper Menagerie kind of video. So my thoughts will be in that video, but it would be fair to also, I'm changing my mind here. I'm also going to post my thoughts in the Fable, even though it's so late. It's not too late, hopefully. Forgive me, please. But generally, that was a really great read. I had a really good time with it. I think doing the buddy read made me appreciate the book more possibly than I would have otherwise. But yeah, again, more thoughts on that one coming soon too. And the last one that I finished this month but started in a prior month is actually Somewhere Beyond the Sea. And this one I like technically started this in March, but I only read like a page or two in March, and then I read the rest of it in April. But technically it falls under this category. Somewhere Beyond the Sea was great. This was 4 stars at least, maybe a little bit more. I think I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads because you can't do half stars, but I feel like, yeah, maybe it reaches 4.5 star territory. Not as good as The House in the Cerulean Sea, but that's fine. That book was so good. So the bar was set really high. This book was still really good. It was different in a lot of ways, but it's still very sweet. Maybe like a little, maybe almost too sweet. Like it was turned up to 11, all the sweetness pieces. But I did have some issues with it because it was like I said, all the way up on the sweetness. But then sometimes there were these jarring moments of bitterness and like sourness that kind of took me out of it, because some of what that was, and I'm not going to spoil it for you here, but some of that to me felt out of character. Some of the characters were just like making a lot of threats. Like they were threatening to do things to people, and I was like, I don't know that feels right with the page prior, you being all lovey-dovey with somebody. It just, I got a little bit of whiplash, so that took me out of it a little bit. But again, that was pretty much my only problem. It was a great book. I don't know if this is biased, but I think if you are a parent, this book hits you really hard. Like I don't typically cry in books. I have not cried during a book in my entire adult life. I would love to. I would love to find a book that can squeeze my heart enough to make me cry. But this one got me really close on multiple occasions, and they were all these tender moments of parenthood. I think especially too if you are an adoptive parent or you've had anything to do with adoption in your life. I think this book will really tug on your heartstrings, and it did mine. So really, really, really good book. I highly recommend this series. Book 1, I think, is a little better than book 2, but book 2 is absolutely worth a read. Fantastic. Really, really high recommend. Moving on to the books that I started and finished this month. We have 4 books to talk about here. One of them I read in like 4 or 5 days, and that one is Full Moon. I started this on like the 2nd of the month, and I finished it just a couple days later. It was really good, or not really good. It was good though. I think I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. It's more Dresden Files. This is book 2 of the Dresden Files. Full Moon is what it's called, and it's just fun. It's. I don't think it's a spoiler to say what the main crux of this novel is, because the Dresden Files so far appear to be or feel like they are kind of monster of the week sort of thing. So each book, I don't know if this is true all the way through, but at least for these first 2 books, it's like, here's our team and this is the thing, like the category of thing that they are against in this book. And so this one is called Full Moon, so you can figure out what this is about just by reading the title. So we had wizard with a gun takes werewolves, and it was just fun. I've heard this is the weakest book in the series by pretty much everyone. It seems to be unanimously decided on that this is the weakest book in the series, which I find very exciting because I thought this was great. I had a great time, blasted through it because these books are so easy to read. They are just quick reads, bullet trains of books. So yeah, 2 books in. Highly recommend this series as a whole, honestly, already. If it's only going to go up from here, I cannot wait to get to book 3. I don't know if I'll fit it into this month, but they're so quick and so easily digestible that I kind of think that I will get to book 3. I'm not sure what it's called, but I will get to book 3. If not this month, next month. I'm super excited to continue on through this series. The next couple books, though, that I picked up since then, I did not connect with as much as I wanted to. Both of them I really wanted to like, and both of them I did have to force myself to finish, kind of. Or I didn't have to, but I did force myself to finish them. Both of them I think I probably should have DNF'd, one more so than the other, and I'll talk about that one next. The first one of these that I want to talk about is A Palace Near the Wind by Yang or Jang. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that last name. I read one other thing by this author. It was called I Am AI, and I loved that. That was like a short story, I think, technically. It was around 50 pages, I believe. So somewhere between a short story and a novella. And it was really good. I highly recommend that you go check out I Am AI. And it's a really quick read, and it's just there's a level of world building that they accomplished in this short amount of pages that I was floored by. I was very impressed, and I wanted so much more of it. And then when I found out that this author was releasing a new book, more of a novella. It's a novella length book. What is it? 186 pages or something like that. I was super excited, and I reached out to the publisher, and I got the e-arc for it, which was super exciting, and I picked it up, and I was trying to read it before it was officially released. It was released sometime in the middle of this month, but I just didn't connect with it as much as I wanted to, and so I kind of dragged my feet through it a little bit, which is unfortunate. And I'm not saying this is not a good book. This and the next book that I'm going to talk about, I liked it. I just didn't like it as much as I wanted to like it, which... so I don't want to sway you away from reading that book. I did like it. I thought a lot of what it had was really good, really well done, but there were some issues for me. Some of the pacing I took issue with. It was a little, I don't want to say clumsy, but it felt like we spent too much time talking about some things that by the end of the book, they didn't really matter. Like, they didn't add to the world building. They didn't add to the characterization. They just didn't give me enough, but we spent too many pages on them. And then there were some things that I feel like had real impact that we kind of just, like, this just happened, and then this just happened, and then this just happened. And I also feel like the main character, I mean, they're young. The main character is young, and they're going through this big event, right? Essentially, the book is about our main character is... like, kind of, there's some deal between them and their kingdom and then this other kingdom. The main character's kingdom is more nature based, and then this other kingdom is more technology based, and they take less regard for nature, and they want to pave the roads with like bones, and they're more technologically advanced and things like that. And the main character's area, Fang it's called, is more resistant to that, and they connect with nature, and they, that nature is like a big part of them. They are essentially like tree people, which was cool. Like, I kind of wanted that explored even more. Like, not explored more, because it was explored the whole time. It was that them being a tree person was mentioned all the time, and so that was cool. But I wanted to be able to better visualize that person, if that makes sense. There were some descriptions of it, but maybe not enough. I don't know. Anyway, I'm a little bit rambling on this one because I don't super know how to talk about it. It was good. Again, it was. I did enjoy it overall, but there were a few things that I wanted to be a little bit different. You know what it was? I think in I Am AI, which is, again, the short story that this author had written that I've read prior to picking this one up, the things I loved about that were that my imagination did a lot of work, and the author didn't need to do a ton. So they accomplished a lot with so few pages. And I think if this book was cut in half, it would have been just way better, because I could have filled in a lot of the blanks myself. I could have explored the world myself. And I think the author maybe just didn't need to. So I think where they tried to explore was interesting, but some of the things I think would have been better left to the reader, to trust the reader to figure out some of these things, because some of the things that are interesting are less interesting to be told and more interesting to figure out or speculate about. I think that's where my main issues came about with this book. But I still gave it 3 stars. I still did like it, and I still do recommend it, especially if you do like this author. Worth a read. But that's all I'll say about that one. It was good, just not spectacular. I didn't love it, but I liked it. The next book, similar. This one I did end up also giving 3 stars. It's like potentially a 3.5, but I think what I put in my review on Goodreads for this book is that it's a 2 to 3 star book for like 90% of the book, and then it's a 5-star book for 10% of the book. And if that 10% of the book was in the middle, I think it would be better. I think it would maybe have been like a 4-star book in total, but the 10% is the final 10%. Like the best part of the book happens after like chapter 70. There's a lot of pages in this book, and most of them I just couldn't find myself caring about anything that was happening. And I was somewhat engaged. I still like the main character. I still like most of the main cast, but just in general, I was just forcing myself to pick it up, which is a shame. And I should have probably quit this book somewhere in the middle. And I even said that in a Discord channel. I was like, I'm going to DNF this book, but somebody convinced me to keep reading, and I did keep reading. And by the end of it, I think I'm glad that I finished it, because the end of it was really good. And now I don't know. I don't know that I know what to do, if I want to continue the series or to stop here. I'm undecided, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'm glad that I finished it, but at the same time, I do wish that I just put it down, because it wasn't doing anything for me for most of the book. And that book, bearing the lead here, that book is Howling Dark. This is book 2 in the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio. Again, it was fine. It was fine for most of it, and then just at the end, it got really good. But for maybe 10 chapters, that was it, and then it was over, and that's a shame. It was a shame. That's all it is. So I don't know if I'm going to continue the series. I would like to like this series. But it just so far isn't doing it for me. It's fine. That's it. And I want to note before I move on that that's an extremely unpopular opinion. I am definitely in the vast minority of readers when I say that. So don't let me dissuade you from picking that book up, especially if you like, sci-fi, fantasy kind of hybrid books. But it's just not doing it for me personally. So that was like 2 books in a row that borderline put me in a reading slump. Like, made me feel like I should quit. Both of them. I thought about DNFing. That's 2 in a row, 2 simultaneously, honestly. So I had 2 things that I was reading at the same time that I wasn't engaged with, and I was approaching a reading slump, and I'm going to work on getting myself out of that next month. But I did read one other thing, and this one came highly recommended to me by my nephew, and this is the middle grade graphic novel that I read this month, and this was called Summer Vamp. This was adorable. This was so good. I read this in, I don't know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Like I said, this is a middle grade graphic novel, right? So it's quick, it's easy, and it again was adorable. It's about our main character right here on the middle of the cover, Maya, and she is essentially she's a girl. She's kind of an outcast at school, and her dad is with somebody. He has a girlfriend, and she they don't really explain what happened to her mom, like if it's just divorce or whatever else. I don't know. They don't explain that, I don't think. But her dad is with somebody else. She's with Charlotte. That's his new girlfriend, and that was interesting in and of itself, because I don't think that's something that's like super commonly talked about. Like, that's not always your main character's situation, that their dad is dating somebody and they have to get along with them, right? And especially from a child's perspective, that's interesting, and that's a very real thing for a lot of kids, unfortunately. So it makes sense to include that in some books, and so that was really great to see that represented here. And we get to explore her relationship with Charlotte, sort of, even though Charlotte really doesn't get much screen time, but she's trying to be nice to Maya. She's trying to connect with Maya, and at the beginning of the book, we find out that she's going to move in with Maya and her dad, which they're very excited for, and Maya is not excited for it because she doesn't want this new lady in her house. And so, she gets upset, but in order to make amends, Charlotte decides to get her, or to send her to a camp that Maya is very excited for, because Maya loves to cook, and this is a culinary camp, Camp Umami. So that's good. She's starting to win her over there. That's really great. But when Maya goes to get on the bus for camp, she gets on the wrong bus, and she goes to Camp Dracula instead of Camp Umami. Camp Dracula is a camp for vampires, a regular old summer camp, but for vampires. So, that's why it's Summer Vamp. Very clever title. And I'm not going to go further into details of what happens in that book, because I don't want to spoil it for you. But, that all happens in maybe the first 20 pages. She's already off at camp, and she's figured out that this is a camp for for vampires. And so it's really cute, really well done. There were a lot of lessons that I feel like you see a lot of lessons be learned in books, right? Especially books aimed at a younger audience. Lessons like how to treat somebody, right? Treat that person how they want to be treated is a thing that they talk about in this book. Don't treat them as you think that they want to be treated. Actually understand what that person wants and treat them that way is kind of a lesson that is learned here. And they teach that lesson, right? So you see a character be taught that lesson, essentially, but then you also see them internalize that lesson, which I think was important. Like, they learn the lesson, and then later in the book, they go to do the same thing, to treat that character the way that they think that character might want to be treated. And then they catch themselves, and they're like, whoa, no, okay, don't say that, because they don't find that funny. So change your mind, say something else. and they do. And that was, that was good to see not just a lesson being taught, but a lesson being learned. That was cool. They do that several times with several different topics. There's a lot of jokes in the book. It's very funny. The art is great and also very funny at times. I had a really good time with it. And again, it's really quick. Again, it's middle grade. If you have a younger person in your life, I think this is a great book to read with them or to give to them to read as, like, if they're an early reader. This is a great one to pick up, because, like I said, it's a graphic novel, so there's not like a ton of words on each page, and the artwork and the story and the characters are compelling enough to hook you in, hook just about anybody in, honestly. I had a really good time with it. I could see there being more to this series. That I don't see that the author has anything else written, but if there's a book 2 of this ever, I would absolutely pick that up again and read that again with my nephew. It's very possibly the best book that I read this month. No joke at all. Now, moving on to the books that my battery's gonna die. It did die. My battery died, but we're back. I think I saved it. I think it should hold a charge now long enough for us to finish this video. We're almost at the end. Moving on into the books that I plan on reading in May. First up, this one I've technically started, and I'm super excited for it. I think this is gonna shoot me right out of this potential reading slump that I've been headed towards. That is A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is book 2 of a series, the Anna and Din mystery series. I think they renamed the series since book 1 came out. Book 1, The Tainted Cup, was fantastic. One of my favorite things that I read last year, and it was the first kind of murder mystery fantasy book that I ever read, I think, and it led me to read a couple more after that, and I'm hoping the same thing happens here. I have this that I want to read, A Drop of Corruption, and then if I'm on a murder mystery fantasy kick, then I want to read Hexologists and or read more of the Lamplight murder mystery series, which starts with Spindle Manor, which I also read last year and also loved last year. But anyway, Drop of Corruption. I'm like 7% into this book. I have the ebook and I have the physical book now. The ebook I got as an ARC and I didn't read it in time, so now the actual book is out and I own it. So I'm very excited, very, very, very excited to be back into this world with this character or these characters. It's essentially it's a murder mystery with fantasy, right? I've said it like 4 times already, but the magic system and the world that this book takes place in, that this series is in, is really interesting. And I said every time I talked about the book 1, which I've done several times here on the channel, I've mentioned how they barely scratch the surface on either thing, on either the world or the magic system. They give you just a little bit of it, like just enough to tease you into wanting more. And I am hoping that I'm going to get a lot more out of this book. I know that that's already going to happen. In book 2, in this first 7% that I've read in the first few chapters, we already are introduced to like a new ability, like a new kind of magic ability, or not magic necessarily, but basically that people can get, like, I think it's like a surgical procedure done to them that alters their abilities. So like our main character, I forget what they call it, but basically he can smell something and it ties that smell to like a hyper accurate memory of whatever, right? So he's an investigator, and so he can sniff something while investigating a room, and then later when he needs to like rethink about the murder scene and re-examine the crime scene, he doesn't have to go back. He can just smell that scent again, and he's back there. He can picture absolutely everything exactly as it was. An engraver, that's what they call it. He's an engraver. And so we've already in this book met a new kind of person, and so I'm hoping for at least 1 or 2 more in this book, please. It's so interesting, and the world is also really cool. It's almost like, I don't know, how would you describe it? There's these big monsters, leviathans. They're like kaiju, right? It's kind of Attack on Titan sort of thing, where like they're in a city with these huge walls, and it's protecting them from these giant monsters. And that's kind of all we know about it. We don't really know where they come from or you know, anything more than that. I just know that there are monsters and we don't want them in the city. That's it. So I want to learn more, and I'm hoping that we get more out of this book. I've heard actually from a few people now that this is even better than book 1. And I love book 1 again. So super excited, super excited. And the next book that I want to read next month, this is again, another book that I'm super excited for. This one for absolutely no reason. I have no reason to be as excited about this author and this book as I am, but I'm so convinced that I'm going to love their stuff. And I don't know why. I think they're cool. I think this author is a cool person. They're impressive and they have a lot of books and people love them. So I should like them. I don't really know that much about the books themselves. I don't know what they're about. I think they're, I don't even know. I was going to say what I think, but I don't know if it's at all true. So I'm just not going to say what I think. I don't know really what it's about, but The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I think it's like a historical fiction fantasy kind of thing. And I know that I've heard it's very dark. And I also have heard that the main character is incredibly unlikable, but that's like by design, that's intentional by the author. And I don't dislike that. I typically like that. I think like an unlikable character if it's by design. I don't like it when you're supposed to like character and then they suck. But yeah, I hear it's good. I hear actually kind of polarizing things. People either love it or don't care about it at all. But yeah, I'm convinced I'm gonna like it. So I hope to read this, especially if I can convince Timothy Burbage. Tim over at Timothy Burbage Reads. Tim had mentioned that he is looking forward to reading this book recently in some chat, and so I hopefully, Tim, if you're watching this, I want to read this month. If you're down, read it and just talk to me about it. We don't even have to put it on the internet. Just you can talk to me about it if you read this book. I'm super excited for it. And that's kind of it as far as like a formal reading plans. I would also love to read another comic book, like a graphic novel, kind of off the back of reading Summer Vamp, because it was super fun and I love comic books, and I haven't read one in a little bit. I feel like maybe that's not even true. I think that's true. Maybe it's not true. Maybe I've read a comic book every month this year, but either way, I want to read another one, and I have two that I'm super excited for. One of them I just got. It's called Do a Power Bomb. Again, I don't super know what it's about. I think this main character's mother's soul gets stolen, and she has to like win a wrestling competition to get her back or something like that. It sounds ridiculous. The art is really good, and I've heard really good things. So I'm super excited about that. It's also super short. So maybe this. And the next one, another graphic novel that I'm very excited for, is called 8 Billion Genies. The premise of this is essentially that every human being that is alive on Earth, for whatever reason, all of a sudden, every single person gets a genie. A genie pops up in front of every person and gives them all the ability to make one wish, and that wish will come true. So you have 8 billion genies popping up, and then subsequently 8 billion wishes coming true kind of instantly, or at least a lot of them instantly, and then the next like doled out over a few days, I think. So I have heard it's really good. It sounds really interesting. The art is really cool too. It's like really realistic kind of art. Oh wow, I just opened the book to show you some art and I got something spoiled for myself, but that's okay. It's I'm not gonna show you the art because I don't want to spoil anything else for myself or for you, but it's really that again. The art is really interesting because it's sort of like very like realistic kind of looking characters. I don't know if you can see that, like the human characters, but then the genies look silly and goofy and cartoony. So I don't know. It looks really good. It sounds really good. And Sam Harrison over also on YouTube said that he would read this with me and then potentially talk about it on the internet, maybe on his channel, talk about this comic book together, which I think would be really cool if I can build up the courage and suppress my social anxiety enough to do that, to make a video with somebody else. I think that would be really cool. So stay tuned for that. This month or next month, I'll be getting to that comic book for sure. Part of my plans for this month were also that I wanted to go through my like currently reading shelf on Goodreads and trim it down, because there was a lot of books that I started that I added to that I just hadn't touched in months. And so I did cut off 5 books. One More Thing, Far Sector, The Iliad, Entangled Life, and Scott Pilgrim, the Scott Pilgrim graphic novel. I think Scott Pilgrim is the only one of those that's like a hard DNF. Like I don't see myself ever returning to that one. But the other ones, I will pick them up, but I haven't touched them in months. I haven't thought about them in months. So they're off my list for now because I'm not currently reading them. I was reading them and I am not anymore. But I will eventually make my way back to, I think, all of those. I hope all of those. I was enjoying what I read, but just not the time for me for them right now. And that's it for books. For board games, I played a decent amount of solo board games this month, actually. I got really into Board Game Arena. So at night, sometimes I come down here and I play a couple board games. I played a decent amount of Escape the Dark Castle with a friend of mine, and that's been super fun. We played that online. And then I've also played Far Away solo on Board Game Arena, as well as River Valley Glassworks. I played that solo in person. I have that board game. That's actually the one that I was trying to make a video for, so I played a couple rounds of that. I love that game. It's really good. I also played Draft and Write Records. I think that's what it is. Yeah, Draft and Write Records, which is super cool. That one I'm still actively playing on Board Game Arena. It's really good. If you're gonna check out any of these from this list, River Valley Glassworks and Far Away and Draft and Write Records are all on Board Game Arena, so you can check out all of them. I would especially recommend Draft and Write Records. It's a draft and write game. So like, there's roll and writes, you roll dice and then you write down what happens. This one, you're drafting cards and then you kind of check off boxes that those cards satisfy. It was really good. I'm really enjoying learning how to play that one. So that was it pretty much for board games. I just wanted to throw that in real quick. Moving on to channel stats really quickly before we wrap this up. I only put 3 videos out again this month, and I already talked about that at the beginning of the month, but it just didn't happen. Just didn't get a 4th one out. Hopefully that doesn't happen again this current month. Hopefully I can get all 4 videos out. One a week is the cadence that I try to stick to. So hopefully I can stick to that. The 3 videos that I did get out were my Q1 kind of wrap up video. So I just talked about like my goals check-ins pretty much for the first quarter of the year. And that was a lot of fun to make. I had fun looking back and seeing how I was doing, and kind of it helped me to recontextualize or like rethink the way that I plan my books going forward. Like R.F. Kuang is an author I've wanted to get to for a long time. So that checks off one box, but I'm adding to a series and that kind of unchecks a different box. And so it's just interesting to think about. So I like to check in on my goals. So I'll be doing that every quarter this year, at least. I thought that was fun. And then I did a book haul, which again was really fun. A Barnes & Noble was closing down nearby. And so I went there. They had a massive sale and I got a bunch of books for 50% off. So that was fun. I got to share that with you. And then I did my monthly TBR culling video. It's part 7. So we're getting close to the end. We're coming up on it. Only a couple more, maybe 3 more of those videos until that series is complete. So yeah, that was it. Those were the videos that we did. They all did decently well. They all had the same-ish number of views, somewhere between 250 and 350-ish. So that was cool to see, pretty consistent. And I actually did decently in terms of subscribers last month, which I didn't expect. We got 32 new subscribers last month, which is great. That's for this channel. That's pretty high growth. So thank you so much for clicking that button. If you're watching this and you have not subscribed, consider doing so, but you don't have to. Thank you for watching regardless. But yeah, that was cool to see. So we're sitting at 613 subscribers. That felt cool to make it over that 600 whatever. That is not a significant number, I guess, but it felt cool to me to see the number go over 600. As far as videos that I plan on making this month, like I said, I think I'm going to make a video dedicated to the Paper Menagerie to kind of close out that book club. I think that would be fun. I would also love to put up that board game video if I can figure out the lighting and get that video, shot in a way that is actually like usable. I would love to do that. I've already learned a lot from trying to make that video, so I would love to take those learnings and just immediately apply them to reshooting that video. That will be for that game River Valley Glassworks, because it's just really good, and I just wanted to do like a little. It was going to be, or it will be it's going to be a how to play this game plus how to play this game solo plus a solo playthrough of the game, because it's a really quick game to teach and to learn. So I thought a full-on solo playthrough would be really fun to add to the video. So that's the big plan. I don't know if it'll pan out because it already has not panned out the first time, but I'm going to try it again and we'll see if I can get that out this month. And then potentially my collaboration with Sam, where I talk about 8 billion genies. Although again, that might be pushed to next month. We'll see. And then I actually have another collab in the works with a board game channel that I can't tell you about yet. So I'm not going to mention more on that, but it's in the works. I'm working on my piece of it, and they already know what they're doing, so they don't have to do any work until we start. But I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited to share about that one too when it gets when it's officially official and when it's happening. It'll be over on their channel, but I will let you all know about it. And that is it. That's my month in review and sort of my plans for this upcoming month. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite book of last month was and what you plan on reading this month. If anything that I'm reading appeals to you, let me know, and I can start a little Fable for it, just so that I can hear your thoughts as we go through the book and you can hear mine. Other than that, I will see you next week. Bye.